Shalom. Your mic is muted. Your microphone is muted.
That's not supposed to happen.
Hey, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Yeah, so we are also recording as we usually do for
Yeah.
Root Source and YouTube. And it's been a while. Did we usually meet about once a month, right?
Yes, we do usually. I have a YouTube channel, and so your videos have a save option. So I can save to my playlist called Conversations.
Oh my. Well, at least I have one follower.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first of all, that's a lovely shirt you got on over there.
Say that again.
Your shirt. I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my son's father-in-law lost some weight, so he gave it to me.
So I'm blessing you that you will also pass it on to somebody else.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Now, first of all, let's get some business out of the way. Ann Stacy, our good friend, encouraged me and your wife Yvette to be in touch also.
Yes.
So
Okay.
please tell her that I sent her a few emails and she hasn't responded. So
Yeah.
tell her that I'm looking forward to hearing from her.
She has hundreds of emails she's never opened, so I will yeah. I'll
Yeah,
get
that's the kind of people there are.
yeah.
Yes, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yes, just got
How's
to
your country doing?
oh man. We got another convention coming up. It's going to be lively too, I think.
But the Democratic convention is only going to be in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, in August, yes.
I wonder if it's going to be over Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av.
I don't know. I don't
Let me
know.
check that out a second. Let me ask Google what he knows. When is the Democratic Party National Convention? And the answer is 19th through 22nd. August 19th through 22nd. Let's take a look on my calendar when that means. Yeah, the week of the 19th. Yeah, so that's the week after Tisha B'Av.
Okay.
Tisha B'Av is on the 13th.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sure that they were considering holding it over the 13th, but they said, we can't hold the Democratic National Convention on Tisha B'Av. No, we couldn't do that.
Yes.
So that'll
Well,
be interesting too. Yeah.
they need
I love politics, so I like following this kind of stuff, and they're certainly giving me my money's worth.
yes. Yes. So the conspiracy theories are abounding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, that this was a silent coup, that the attempted assassination was staged. I mean, just some crazy stuff.
Tell me, how are things doing at your church?
They're doing well. They're doing well. We're Living Israel approached us on hosting a conference for them called Israel in the Church. So that's coming up on August 2nd and 3rd, a Friday night and then a Saturday morning and afternoon.
Living Israel, Friday night, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, Friday evening and then Saturday day. Yeah, so
So Living
IDF.
Israel, who are the principals there?
Well, the leader of Living Israel is Michael Sadovsky,
Yeah,
and
I met, and there's some formerly Russian Israeli guy who
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't
So
remember his name.
some of his leaders of his congregations are in the IDF, and he'll have a couple of them with him, and so
Ooh,
yeah, we'll get some firsthand reports from what's happening in the land and the church's relationship to the deal. Yeah, we are at war against replacement theology. Yes, definitely. So
very interesting, very interesting. Okay, I'd love to hear how that comes out, and how many people are you expecting to attend?
well, they had 68 registered as of last week. They anticipate twice that, but if it's just 68, they're committed. So, yeah.
That's 68 members of your congregation.
I do not know. They are in charge. It's a free, it's a red. We encourage people to register. It's free, so that we don't go over 300 because we only hold 300 seats. Well, technically,
Can't go over 300 if you're following the registration.
yes, yeah. So they say usually twice can show up. Another number of people that don't register might show up. So we could have 130 people. So yeah.
Yeah, but especially if it's free, then
Ye-
people who didn't register will show up, but also people who registered won't show up.
Yes, that can happen. People.
That's the way they are. These strange people.
Yeah. So we ordered 100 box lunches from Chick-fil-A. So to feed them lunch because they'll be there during that time. So
Did you advertise a free box lunch for Chick-fil-A?
no, no, no. We will hope they pay $10. So we'll subsidize, the church will subsidize $1.39 for each box. Yeah.
Okay, so they're just right. Subsidized lunch.
Yes, there we go.
That'll
There's no
that'll
free
bring
lunch.
reports.
There's a subsidized lunch. Yes. Yes. Well,
Okay.
I have a topic unless you have one.
I was waiting for those words.
Okay. Leviticus 25 talks about the year of Jubilee every 50 years.
Oh, yeah, I wrote the book on that.
Okay, good. All right.
It was Bob who wrote it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So one question about it is, did Israel ever do that in its history? Is there any point in history where it did that, and how did it go? Because it is a test of faith to be obedient to that. So, yeah, I'm just
Okay.
curious. Yeah.
So the answer is that I am not sure if the Israelites ever did it.
Okay.
I do remember discussing this with my rabbi, and he gave an interesting perspective, but that was 10 years ago, just one afternoon by phone, so I don't recall. But I definitely know that the Bible itself chastises the people of Israel for not keeping the sabbatical year.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Every 7 years, they were to give the land rest.
That is the sabbatical year.
Yes.
But it says in the Bible that that the people did not keep the sabbatical years. In the Bible, in the Torah itself, maybe even in the chapter after that, or the verse. Let's look at 1 second. As to say, that's a chapter 10. In the Vayikra, exactly. In the book of Leviticus 26, verse 34. 1 second. 26, verse 34. There's 34. I will the whole land I will make desolate, and your enemies will come and they will make it desolate. 1 second. And you I will spread amongst the nations, and I will empty the sword holder of its sword, and you will be fought by sword. Then, after you get all this punishment, then the land will be satisfied of its sabbaticals all the year, all the days of its lying desolate. Then the land will rest and will be satisfied regarding its Sabbaths.
Yes.
That was a pretty bad translation. I don't know if you've managed to open up the chapter and verse yet.
Yes.
We're talking about
26.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 34. So could you read what you got over there?
So it says, then the land will enjoy its Sabbaths as long as it lies desolate and you are in your enemy's land. Then the land shall rest and enjoy its Sabbath. So it's what you said.
So, of course, way at the end of the Bible is the way that we understand that that prophecy, but more that warning, was ultimately carried out, because between the destruction of the first temple and the beginning of the construction of the second temple was 70 years, right?
Okay.
And that was ostensibly the 490 years. 7 times 70 is 490. So
Okay.
ostensibly, there were 490 years that the Jewish people were, until the Jewish people, the Israelite people, were exiled. And amongst those 490 years, or it could also be 7 times 50, wait a second, 7 times 70, or 8 times 70. 8 times 7 is 50. Either 490 or 560 years, because it's not clear if the sabbatical year was the 7th year or the 8th year. But we won't get into that right now.
Okay.
Or maybe it was the 50th year. Is its own year? No, it was probably no. Of course, there were 70 years. So 490 years, and so ostensibly for 490 years, the sabbatical years, the Shemitah, were not followed.
So the land got its Sabbath years all in a row then during the
Yes, and of course, the land didn't want to do that, and the land was crying, and God, everybody was crying about that.
Yeah.
But it is what it was.
Interesting. So I wonder if a comparison has been made with the Sabbath years of the Jubilee years and the last big diaspora. How many years?
So you're asking me these questions about 10 years too late, because I wrote about them. I wrote about them in the 2 books. I wrote about them. Bob wrote about, my partner Bob Odell wrote them, and I edited the book. So I read the entire book. Israel First, the key to understanding the blood moons, Shemitah, promises to Israel and the coming Jubilee. So half of that book is about the Shemitah, the 7th years, and the Jubilee, the 50th years.
Okay.
Then we have another book called Jubilee Now, which is a follow-up on the book about the Jubilee.
Okay.
So exactly what we wrote over there, you got to read it in order to remember, to know what we wrote there.
Yes.
But it is fascinating. And as far as what's going on now, did the 2,000 years of not keeping the sabbatical because we weren't in the land at all, not keeping the sabbatical or the Jubilee, was that also some sort of a warning and a punishment for the people of Israel? Now, obviously, it was a punishment for the people of Israel. The entire Bible talks about how the people of Israel being exiled from their land is the punishment that we get for misbehaving.
Okay.
So we did that for 2,000 years or so. So 2,000 years divided by 50 is 40. So were there 40? Yeah, listen. 2,000 years before the exile, 2,000 years before the exile, before was about minus 2,000. And I do know, wait a second. 2,000, 2,000. Yeah, it was about that long. In other words, from the time of Abraham until the destruction of the second temple was about 2,000 years.
Wow.
You know what? I'm just throwing those numbers around. Let's see if we can figure that out. A 1948. Let's see if we can figure that out. No, the problem is, one second. Okay, so Abraham was born. You hear me? You
Okay.
there? You with me?
Yes.
So according to Google, Abraham was born in 2166 BC. And he was called by God about 2091 BC. So that's about 2000 years BC, right?
Okay.
And today we're about 2000 years AC. Yeah, 2000. So we're talking approximately all the years of the Bible and of the intertestament time and of the New Testament time, all those years altogether from Abraham for about 2000 years. And then the
Okay.
end of the New Testament, which is more or less with 30 years or so, comes around the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. So from Abraham until the destruction of the Second Temple is about 2,000 years, maybe 2,100 years. And today is 2,000 years since then. So it seems to me that God has decided, and I don't think that this is something that I'm making up. I think that there's a Jewish tradition that there were 2,000 years of tohu, 2,000 years of chaos,
Yes.
2,000 years of Torah, the Bible,
Okay.
and another 2,000 years of Mashiach, which we understand to be 2,000 years of the potential for the Messiah to come. Any Christian scholars who discover that Jewish midrash will say, "What do you know? 2,000 years of Jesus, of the Messiah." But obviously, that's not the Jewish perspective. But what can I do? That's the Jewish midrash, the Jewish tradition. So
Right.
that is the way it's understood. So it's amazing that you have exactly the entire history of the world, according to this midrash, is divided into 6,000 years. Today, arguably, we are in the year 50, I think it's 5774, I think.
Okay.
Let me check that. Second. 5784. Good thing I checked.
Okay.
That means 5,784 years since the creation of the world, according to
Genesis.
Jewish understanding of that. There are problems. It's like 150 lost years, all sorts of stuff like that. But pretty much that's what we're talking about. And if the Jubilees were never they were never observed,
Yes.
then now it's time to come back to the land. The 2,000 years of exile have been paid up, and now it's time to start following them. And the fact is that many people in Israel, many Jews in Israel, are already following the laws of the sabbatical.
So there's farms that are observing this.
Absolutely.
How are they doing?
Some are doing better, some are doing worse, I'm sure.
That's
But
interesting. Well, it's a test of faith.
exactly.
Yes.
And again, I'm not a farmer, so
Yeah.
I'm not that close to it. But the stories that they tell is that the people who did that, they were blessed for the eighth year, and they
So,
managed.
so do they have all the ones that are observing? Are they observing the same year as the Sabbath year?
Oh, of course.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
No, no,
That's
no. It doesn't make
okay.
sense to
Man,
not.
what a subject. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yes. So, Mark Twain wrote of the land being desolate. Do you know the backstory to his writing that?
Are you going to tell it to me or are you asking me?
I want to tell it to you if you haven't heard the whole backstory.
The book was called Innocents Abroad.
And the subtitle was The New Pilgrim's Progress. So it was compiled from his experiences and his letters to the New York Tribune and the New York Herald during the trip. When he would get to a telegraph, he would send back reports to these two newspapers. So here's the trip. A well-known book in American history is Uncle Tom's Cabin, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Well, she was a sister of a Presbyterian pastor named Henry Ward Beecher, and his ministry put together a tour on a steamship. And Mark Twain went with them as a writer and as a journalist. And so he sent back these letters and came back and put a book together. And the publisher got so behind this book that they sent out salesmen in teams of 2 across the nation of the US selling these books, The Innocents of Abroad. So they drove this book, onto the bestseller list, or I don't know if it was on the bestseller list or even they had that there. But people were making a living traveling across America selling this book at various events and locations.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So his name was well known, but the book, Innocents Abroad, The New Pilgrim's Progress. Yeah, fascinating.
Now, just one second. Did you read the whole book?
No, I did not.
All right. I don't know.
Look up the backstory.
I wonder if it is a journal, a chronicle of the entire no. I understand that the book itself does not only include his journal of his visit to the Holy Land. It's got other places also.
Yes, right. It was of the whole tour. So yes.
So the whole tour, my gosh, how long was the tour?
I don't know. By steamship, it took a while.
They had to get off the steamship from time to time.
Bark and do
Let
some.
me open that up in Wikipedia. Innocents Abroad. 1 second. The Innocents Abroad. And just 1 second. 1867, 5-month voyage.
Okay, yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you think you could get people to come on a trip for 5 months today?
Retired people, maybe.
5 months. Well, yeah, they'll miss their grandchildren.
Get me off this ship. Yeah.
Wow.
Fascinating story, though.
And
So
of course,
the land was desolate, a swampy, desert, mosquito-ridden place, undesirable. Yeah.
and that is what Mark Twain wrote in the book.
What
He
he
said,
observed.
"What a
Yes.
God-forsaken place! The
Yes.
Bible's prophecy is actually coming true. How God-forsaken this place is."
What a witness. Yes. Amazing.
Famous. That is one of the 2 famous quotes that we religious Zionists like to quote from Mark Twain. One about the land being desolate and how it is such a the Bible's prophecy are coming through. And the other is his question, what's the deal with the Jews? I don't know if it's from the same book. But he writes, and I let me see if I can remember what is 1 second. Let me find the quote. And okay, so he wrote a book. He wrote an essay called Concerning the Jews.
Okay. Was it part of the book?
I'm going to try to look it up. Yes, Concerning the Jews is an 1899 essay by Mark Twain.
After
The
the book.
Innocents Abroad was 1869. So 30 years later, he
Yes.
wrote a pamphlet, really, about the Jews. Wow.
So was
So we
he?
usually only quote about, I'll tell you how much. A mere 260 words of that book, but I see that it is here. 1 second. No, what is this? Wow. Okay, well, we're gonna have to look that up. Anyway, so Mark Twain and the Jews, those are the two things. Listen, time has flown. I don't know if you have another question, but I
No,
have to go. I have to go and teach my nephew his bar mitzvah parsha. He has to read the Torah when he becomes 13. So I have to prepare him for that.
yes. Well, I am satisfied. I got my fix.
So we'll see you soon. You're going to tell your wife that she's got to be in touch with me.
Got to, yes.
And you and I will see each other with God's help in about a month.
Okay, thank you. Bless you.
Shalom.